the sense that you're an engineer, our business is our skill is engineering change. We make change happen. So you will have amazing ideas about what you want to do. We help you make them real and turn them from ideas into actual things that make a difference. We do that through helping with design change programs, delivering change programs. But the piece I look after is helping with human change. So I come from a world that says no change is ever successful unless a human being does something different. And actually, all of our change that we're trying to affect, whether it's in society, organisations, or with your teenage children, is about humans doing something different. And we have to understand how you influence human change. And that's the world in which I operate. It's interesting, fascinating, and frustrating in equal measure. So, if we're thinking about change, we do a lot of work in the mobility sector. One of the things that I really love with working in mobility and automotive is you have this massive clash of a hugely traditional, very significant industry transporting itself into a world of utter chaos, where the markets are changing, the environments we're working in are changing, the politics are changing, and you have that clash between traditional and trying to do something very different. And to survive, and more than survive, to thrive in that world, we have to be innovative. We have to find new ways of working. And so we love the automotive industry, the mobility industry, because it's a really great example of an industry that's at a turning point. And for us, that turning point is all about how do we do new things and how do we get really good at creating innovation cultures in our organisation. And I'll talk about innovation culture because it's not about having processes and technology. It's not about having a really great innovation funnel or a system that allows people to put ideas in and you can select which ones have the highest scores. It's about how you create environments and behaviours where all of you and the people in your teams can come up with those great new ideas and actually work together to do things that we've never thought about doing before. Think more in the revolution space than the evolution space. So we have to think differently. Now, some of you may have been thinking, why did this guy bring up this old suitcase? Okay, I'm not the magician. I'm not going to make one of you appear from inside this suitcase. Anyone know what was innovative about this suitcase?
Wheels.
The wheels. Okay, anyone know the story of how the wheels came about? So, quick story, 1958. Chap called David Dudley Bloom, great name if you had it. He was an ex-naval commander in the US Navy in the Second World War, and after that he became a product designer, product research guy. He was working for a company called the Atlantic Luggage Company of Eastwood. And in 1958, people didn't have wheels on their suitcases, they had big trunks and they used to carry them around. And he was carrying one around. He was like, oh God, this is so heavy. We've been on family holidays, dislocating my shoulder. And he worked for a luggage company. So he thought, I've got an amazing idea. Let's put some wheels on this. And instead of doing myself an injury, I'll wheel it around. So he took his amazing idea to the chairman of his organisation. It was a perfect idea because it was a luggage company, so they had the product, they had the channel, they had the market access, and they had the game-changing innovation. You can guess what happened.
Didn't work.
The chairman didn't even accept the idea. He said, you're crazy. Who would ever want wheels on their suitcase? It's the worst idea we've ever had. Go away. And the idea went away for 12 years. And it resurfaced in 1970. A guy called Bernard Sadow. And Bernard Sadow had actually just been on holiday with his family to Aruba and was on his way back from Aruba. Anyone know? Quick pop quiz. What's the song that's famous for Aruba?
Oh, I can't.
No, you're not getting that. Aruba, Jamaica, oh, I'm gonna make you Bermuda, Bahama, come on, pretty mama. Beach Boys?
Beach Boys.
Tacoma? Okay, you didn't get that from the singing. Okay, that's fine. I can take it. I can take it. So Bernard Sado came back from his holiday in Aruba. He had his big bags, and he said, "This is crazy. I'm going to put wheels on these." And he went around. He went to a different market. He went around to all the different department stores in the US and pitched his idea to their buyers. And again, no one was open to the new idea. They just saw the world in a different way because their tradition and their revenue stream was built on selling luggage and big cases and trunks. And you had porters at railway stations to move those things if you could afford to do that. If you couldn't, well, you just had to do it yourself. Until he arranged an appointment with a VP at Macy's and pitched the idea, and the VP said, "That's crazy, that's good." And he dragged the procurement buyer in, because we all love buyers in the room. He dragged the buyer in who'd actually turned down the idea and said, "Go sort this, make this happen." And that is how we have wheels on our suitcases. And really the moral of that story is just about thinking differently. And I'm going to be a little bit maybe challenging that even in our innovation processes, if we're trying to innovate new stuff with people who see it in the same way as us, are we truly going to break the boundaries of the innovation? So if I'm working with someone in a technology or in a process, and they're people who have always worked in that same process area and see the world the same way as I see them, does that truly create the opportunity for amazing innovation cultures? Keep that thought in mind, because that's why difference matters. We need to bring difference into the conversation in the way that we look at things, because if we all look at the same thing in the same way, you run the risk of things like groupthink. So you're probably all familiar with groupthink. We avoid conflict and we work towards perceived consensus. I think it's Henrik earlier was talking about the work that they were doing in Vimotion and talking about Scandinavian natural preference for consensus and how that's been challenged and how they're having to think about things differently, working with the Chinese culture and bringing those cultures together. So if we see the world the same way, we might risk groupthink, we might risk echo chambers. Heaven forbid we should have an echo chamber in our planet today in different environments, perhaps political ones, where someone says something and everyone else just nods and agrees with it and doesn't challenge it even if it's the daftest thing that they've ever heard. But that's what happens. And we only break that paradigm, we only shift that thinking if we actually start to recognize difference and
Artlist.io